Have you ever, stopped to consider the true cost of that afternoon energy boost? You hand over $4 for a can of Red Bull, pop the tab, and get right back to work. But what if I told you that exact same can only costs 9 cents to manufacture?
Yeah, it's a pretty wild markup.
It really is. Today, we are taking a deep dive into a short but absolutely mind-bending YouTube clip from the channel The Pod IQ. Our mission is to, look past that incredible markup and reveal the hidden colossal scale of Red Bull's global operations. So, okay, let's unpack this, because looking at those numbers, this business model feels like modern-day alchemy.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they are turning 9-cent pennies into $4 gold, and they aren't just doing this a few times. The clip points out they sold 14 billion cans last year.
Right, 14 billion. And what's fascinating here is what happens when you shift your focus from the financial alchemy to the sheer physical reality of 14 billion cans. Because, well, human brains just aren't wired to comprehend that kind of scale.
No, definitely not.
So to give you a visualization, packaging that volume requires an amount of aluminum that actually outweighs all 4 Iowa-class battleships combined.
Wait, hang on. I'm struggling to reconcile that imagery. You're putting tens of thousands of tons of, heavily armored military steel on one side of a scale, and on the other, flimsy little aluminum cans I could crush with one hand. How does that math even work out?
Well, it comes down to the absolute absurdity of massive global consumer demand. When you multiply a fraction of an ounce by 14 billion, you suddenly have a naval fleet's worth of metal.
Okay, but here's where my brain gets stuck. If you're producing a battleship's worth of cans, that means you're moving a massive amount of liquid.
Right.
And liquid is incredibly heavy. I mean, most major beverage companies bottle locally to save money. So if Red Bull is moving that much weight globally, shipping must be a logistical nightmare. Doesn't shipping water halfway across the world completely nuke their profit margins?
That is exactly the friction point, and it's why Red Bull's model is so unusual. Unlike Coca-Cola, which, relies heavily on local bottling plants everywhere, Red Bull centralizes almost all of its production in just a couple of places, primarily Austria and Thailand.
But why Thailand? How does centralizing production there rather than distributing it locally actually make financial sense?
It goes back to their origins. The original drink, Krating Daeng, was formulated in Thailand.
Yeah.
By keeping production highly centralized there, they maintain absolute ruthless control over the proprietary recipe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the ingredient sourcing and global quality control. They don't have to worry about variations in local water supplies or regional bottling errors.
That makes total sense.
And to answer your question about costs of shipping heavy liquid, that is exactly where the 9-cent production cost comes into play.
Oh, right.
Yep, that massive profit margin on a $4 can acts as a buffer. It's what subsidizes this highly unusual centralized strategy.
Okay, so the margins pay for the control.
Exactly. But this centralized model creates an insane logistical reality. Because they're manufacturing billions of cans in Thailand and shipping them to nearly every country on Earth, the sheer volume of their freight is just staggering.
I can't even imagine.
According to the source, Red Bull operates on such an immense scale that they are actually the 12th largest CO2-emitting transport company on the planet.
Wait, seriously, the 12th largest transport company?
In the world, yeah.
So what does this all mean? I mean, we look at them as an energy drink brand, or maybe a massive marketing machine for extreme sports, but behind the scenes they are operating as a global shipping behemoth that just happens to sell caffeine.
Precisely. They have essentially built a supply chain that rivals major freight carriers just to move tiny aluminum cans around the globe.
Which is pretty terrifying for the environment, honestly.
It really is. And it leaves us with a pretty compelling question for the future. As global regulations tighten and the push for greener logistics intensifies, you have to wonder, will a business model that relies entirely on shipping heavy liquid from centralized hubs across oceans even be viable 20 years from now?
That's a great point.
So next time you casually grab a seemingly simple item off a convenience store shelf, maybe consider the invisible battleship-sized infrastructure and the massive environmental cost required just to put that single can in your hand.